Alright. What's up?
Hello.
Third episode.
Yeah, we're back.
I'm Matt.
What's up?
I'm Pio.
Byron, Carlo, Aquino, Leuterio.
We got Laij back.
And ako naman
Yes,
si
sir.
Laij.
We got Laij back. Kasi wala si
Regular?
Laij.
Back.
2 straight days.
Yeah,
2 straight
regular na.
sessions. Regular
Third
na.
episode. Hopefully
Promoted.
you enjoyed the two-parter that we put out. Maayos na yung audio. Nagawa na namin ng
Yeah.
audio.
Then,
So that's
yeah.
that.
Pang-pro na, pang-pro.
Pang-pro na. Also, apologies in advance if nagkaroon ng problema yung camera ko dahil webcam na ako ngayon.
Wow.
Level up na ako sa camera. Pero, sige. Laij, kamusta ka naman? How does it feel being a regular now on the show?
I don't know actually.
Parang hindi ka naman masaya. Ganun.
Not excited, ecstatic.
Yun!
Ayun, ecstatic.
So sobrang excited ni Laij nag-English na siya.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Si Mr. ano yun eh, si
Wala,
Mr.
honestly kasi nandito na si Pio to, POT yung
Patay.
best friend ng bayan eh.
Nako.
Si ano yun, si Laij, si
Shoutout sa-
si Mr. Basically nung last episode.
Oh.
Mr. Basically. Anyway, okay. Let's get right into it. Good shot, bad shot na agad tayo.
Sige.
You all ready? Ready na? First situation. Japet declines a deal from the B-League worth $35,000 per month. Around 1.7 to 2 million pesos here in the Philippines a month. A month yun. He declines it because he wants to focus daw with Ginebra. Committed daw siya sa Ginebra. So he declines that money for Ginebra. Good shot, bad shot. After nun may dadagdag pa ako. Pero good shot, bad shot yung decision.
Good shot for me.
Really? Why?
Good. Kasi si Japet siguro right now alam na niya yung kung ano yung, how he wants his career to pan out. Seasoned veteran na siya. Parang established siya sa PBA na one of if not the best big men right now. So siguro pag pumunta siya sa B-League, talented siya, yes. Pero start over from scratch. Baka yung situation nga nila Juan and Kiefer, hindi nga sila sinestart. Like, so good move siya career-wise. Like, focus siya on Ginebra, bringing back another championship since kakaumpisa pa lang ng Governor's Cup nila. Okay lang sa akin.
Akin hindi.
Bakit?
For selfish reasons. 1.7 to 2M. Well, hindi. I mean, for Philippine
siguro-
basketball, maganda yun. For Philippine. Pero, come on. Really? That's 1.7
baka,
to 2M.
baka kaya naman sa tabatan. San Miguel, sa ito lang.
Actually, yung ano.
Oo.
I mean, that's pretty...
Oo.
I
Kaya
don't know kung magkano naman talaga yung contracts dyan. Pero I feel like kaya naman tabatan. I mean, Jap is one of your biggest stars.
Sa bagay.
Imamatch mo talaga yan.
I don't know though.
Pero, yeah, the thing for me is, Japeth is one of your biggest stars. Tapos, one of Philippines' biggest basketball stars. And, kung nag-B-League si Japeth, that's just much more exposure for the Philippines, for Philippine basketball in foreign sports. So, feel ko, I guess maganda rin talaga yung career niya sa PBA, which I get why he chose to stay in PBA. Pero that's more exposure for the Philippines sa pag mag-B-League siya.
Iba yan. Katulad ng
Sayang
ginagawa
lang.
nila Kiefer at saka nila 3D ngayon eh. Yung
Yeah.
ano ba yun? All-Star. May All-Star
Lahat
team
sila
ng
All-Star,
Pilipinas.
So basically by good shot bad shot para sa'yo. Ay, good shot pala.
Bad para sa akin.
Akin bad.
Bad
Akin
shot.
bad.
Bad sa akin.
Sa'yo, Laij.
Ako same rin, bad shot rin. Career-wise, legacy-wise, good shot siya. Kasi like Pio mentioned, kasi cemented na yung name niya sa sa PBA, and I think he's gonna be a Hall of Famer sa PBA. Pero not basketball related.
Bad shot.
Parang feeling ko mas bad shot siya kasi parang different setting lang. Parang siguro the reason why it's not basketball related kasi makaka-travel, kasi at the same time makaka-travel ka din. Makaka-try ka ng different league. And ayun nga yung sinabi ni Matt, for selfish reasons. 1 point ano ba yan?
1.7 M.
Ano ba yun?
1.7 M to 2 million.
Yung usual na yung I'm not sure pero yung before, yung pinakamataas ata na salary per year is umaabot lang ng 5 mil. I'm not sure pero ayun, from there nakikita mo yung yung difference in salary. Pero ayun nga, like besides that, parang medyo bad shot siya kasi I mean may established na yung name mo. So for me personally, from how I look at it, how about why not try another league? Parang I don't think it's necessarily bad to start from scratch. Parang I think it's good nga kasi alam mo, parang may new challenges ka, parang new faces to, parang new chapters to chase, parang ganun.
Wala rin namang mawawala kasi sa kanya talaga. Stall lang. Like the legacy that he built. Parang wala namang mawawala sa kanya. Pero I also saw I don't know if it's true, pero may nakita akong article na hindi naman official, pero nakita ko lang. Basically, a rumor siya na kahit pa paano, they're still finding a way out of Ginebra. I think, ganito kasing situation na binigay sa kanya eh. Parang, ililipat siya sa ibang team, tapos siya kanya i-accept yung B-League team.
So basically, trade siya?
Ang gusto sana nila mangyari. Ito yung nabasa ko ha. Pag totoo yun...
Para may makuha lang sila?
Ha?
Para lang may makuha sila? Kapalit ni Jabet?
Hindi. Feeling ko nga, selfish reason. And, for the siguro respeto na rin sa Ginebra. Sasabihin niyang committed siya sa Ginebra. Pero kasi, pag totoo nga yung sinasabi niya na lilipat ka sa ibang team, tapos siya ka magpaparelease sa B-League. Kumbaga, ayaw mo lang ma-release sa B-League ngayon dahil nasa Ginebra ka.
Well, logically it makes sense, pero sa akin, parang lang yung circulation sa league na politics. Biruin mo, the fact na si Japet mapalaro mo lang siya overseas, ititrade mo siya. Lugi yung whatever team, kahit Ginebra man yan or hindi, lugi yung mahawalan kay Japet, bro. So,
yeah.
Bad shot yun, if ever kung totoo man yun. Lugi talaga.
Right. A few good shots and bad shots depending on the situation. Next situation. Portland announced that they will not trade Damian Lillard despite of the challenges that they were going through. Hindi daw siya iti-trade buong season. Ngayon, ang gusto ko malaman kung good shot or bad shot ba yun for Dame. Ay, diba kasi may parang rumors at the start of the season na baka mamaya gusto na lumipat ni Dame ng lugar. So, ngayon na sing Portland na mismo, Portland management na nagsabi na hindi nila iti-trade si Damian Lillard despite their situation. Is that a good shot or a bad shot for Dame?
For Dame?
Dame lang. For Dame. Damian Lillard.
That's a bad shot.
Bad shot.
Why? Why do you think so?
Well, I mean, Portland's been like that for 6 years na. Same team every year. They're not really progressing.
Mediocrity.
A few pieces added here and there pero ganun lang din.
No, pare-parehas lang din eh. May naman babago. I feel bad for Dame lang. I mean, he's been top level every year. Tapos he's stuck with Portland, basically.
At this point, feeling ko hinihintay na lang niya matapos yung contract niya. Para matanggal siya.
Nagpapa-extend pa siya, di ba? Hindi pa siya extension.
Yep.
Oh, wait.
Humingi siyang 107
Medyo
million,
wala.
2 years.
Yep.
I mean, it's a lot.
Medyo hefty.
Saan mo pupunta yun? Sa
Well,
totoo lang.
Yeah, get that money, bro. Get that money.
I mean, if dinecide nila mag-rebuild, alam mo yun, mag-clear up ng cap space, siguro magagawa nila yun.
Pero parang ang confident nila kay Dame ngayon na kahit, pero mo ganun na yung sitwasyon nila, parang kaya pa rin nilang pakawalan si Dame.
Well, I get Portland
Yeah.
naman. I mean, no one really goes to
Franchise
Portland.
player eh.
Okay, sa
Dames,
bagay.
Nakakailang nakakailang pick sila na naging magaling talaga before Dame. I mean, it's just Aldridge, Brandon Roy, dalawa.
Oo,
Forever.
yun lang. Yun lang.
Iba mga busts na.
Mga Greg Oden,
Oden.
di ba? Mga Greg Oden.
Awit.
Medyo matataas naman. Actually, they're not really good at drafting.
Oh, yung
Ay,
kung
balikan mo
kay
pa sa 84 draft, yung sa second draft pick.
yung kay MJ draft pa lang eh. Alam mo nang
Oo.
hindi napuntahan na maayos yun eh. Sa'yo ba, Pio? Good shot,
Well,
bad shot?
It's a bad shot for Dame kasi yun nga, hindi natin siya makita maglaro kasi the West is stacked. And tama yung sinabi ni Byron and yung na-mention ni Laij na Portland has been stagnant. Like, every year, parang, abot sila playoffs. Pero, for Dame not to be able to reach, syempre siguro goal naman niya mag-champion. So, it's a bad shot for him. And, parang Portland isn't surrounding the right pieces for him also. Like, no shot kay CJ McCollum, magaling siya. Pero for me, like, nakikita naman yung defense nila together as a backcourt, parang malala. Like, they're both undersized.
Mahirap.
So,
Di nila kailangan ng isa pang scoring guard eh, no? I think they need a parang defensive-minded
honestly, yung trade,
star.
kung totoo yung nag-circulate dati na iti-trade dapat, in-offer na i-trade si Simmons for McCollum. Sayang yun kung si Damian Lillard yung shooting guard mo tapos si Simmons papasahan lang niya.
How
Okay
would that
na.
work? Hindi parang situation, anong difference nun? Sa sitwasyon niya sa 76ers, di ba ganun din naman yun? Kaya niya
At least
namamasa.
added defender sa league, sa Portland. So ma-up yung defensive stock nila. Si Dame wala na, for sure sa kanya na mag-circulate yung bola. So if ever si Simmons, papasahan na lang niya si Dame. Off-ball na lang, off-ball siya, pwede siyang, he can come off screens to get more threes. Marami pwede. So,
Sino ba 5 ng Portland?
si Nurkic.
Si Nurkic.
Tumitira ba sa labas yun? Parang hindi, di ba?
Croco.
Tumitira ba sa
Oo.
labas yun? As in stretch 5
Yeah.
ba yun?
Tsaka,
Natira.
tama sila, may Covington sila. So, kaya naman.
May spacing sila pag nandito.
They have space.
Okay, ang naisip ko lang kasi if ganun din yung gagawin nila, di parang nasa 76ers ka lang na ilalagay mo sa ilalim si Simmons. Actually, based lang para sa sa system. Kasi sa system ng Philadelphia, magkasama si Embiid at saka Embiid or Drummond
kaya
at saka Simmons sa baba.
Ang sikip.
Masikip masyado. Ngayon, kung ganun din gagawin ng Portland, talagang lugi sila doon.
Pero bad shot in
Bad
total
shot din
kay
sa
Dame.
akin. Bad
Hindi siya
shot.
makaalis.
Bad shot din for me. Okay, next. Frank Vogel. Was rumor, rumor ba tawag doon? Basta,
Pinag-uusapan.
they planning to fire Frank Vogel because of how the Lakers are performing. So basically sa kanya nilalagay yung sisi kung bakit natatalo yung Lakers. Is that a good shot or a bad shot?
It's a bad shot for me.
Bad shot.
Same.
Sa akin din.
Ako, feeling ko bad shot siya for me kasi hindi mo naman dapat nilalagay sa kanya yung sisi ng pagkatalo ng team nyo. You have the talent, but if you, yes, you have the talent and the coach's job is to make them mesh. Pero ang problema naman, kung hindi mo rin naman kinuha yung mga tamang tao para sa system ng coach mo, medyo mali rin. Parang hindi rin tama. Like, kulang sila sa shooters. Dun pa lang makikita mo na at a disadvantage sila. So, if maglalagay ka ng blame, dapat hindi. Pero if maglalagay ka ng blame, dapat sa mga individual players mo, hindi dahil sa coach mo.
Yep,
Oo.
tama. Ako naman, actually bad shot rin sa akin for the very obvious reason. 2 years ago, nag-champion Lakers. Sino coach ng Lakers nun?
Si Vogel.
Vogel, diba? Supposedly, nandito na si Westbrook sa Lakers. If you're gonna compare this team, like talent-wise, di ba mas malakas yung Lakers ngayon?
Yeah, exactly.
So,
On paper.
I'm
On
not
paper.
really sure. I'm not really sure if it's Vogel's fault talaga. Kasi from there, parang napa-champion na yung team eh.
From a very
And I'm not-
not
yung siguro
not even
yung-
compared to their lineup right now.
I think yung
napachampion.
yung pinaka individual na who should take the blame, who should be blamed, I think siguro yung GM, like yung mga responsible sa
Team comp.
sino kinukuha nila sa off season.
You blaming
Kasi-
LeBron?
Yeah, for sure. Well, if siya naman talaga yung GM, I think fault niya talaga. Pero ayun nga, they got Russell Westbrook, they got si Carmelo. From ayun nga, on paper, malalaman mo na yung mga players na yun matutulungan talaga nila yung Lakers team. Pero little did they do not know, parang ang kailangan talaga nila is role players. They don't need any more star power. Kasi you already have LeBron and AD. Yun ang difference ng Lakers 2 years ago kung bakit sila nag-champion. Si LeBron, AD, yun lang naman yung dalawang stars eh. Everyone else, they accepted their role.
Oh,
Like Dwight
example.
Howard and JaVale McGee.
Example,
Like,
Golden
sobrang
State.
underrated ng defense nila. Si Danny Green, kahit gawin mong meme, like, you can't deny his defensive impact on that team.
Tama.
Tsaka ano naman siya eh, parang impactful rin naman siya sa offense. Parang ano lang naman kasi, medyo nag-exaggerate lang talaga yung media sa kanya kasi alam mo yun, medyo inconsistent.
Hindi, tsaka Laker
So, ayun.
fans, bro. Laker fans.
Oh,
Medyo
yeah,
ano din,
Lakers.
brutal.
Yeah.
High expectation pagdating sa Lakers.
Yeah.
Pero hindi, speaking
Ayun,
of
ayun.
role
Parang-
players,
May
example
expectations rin.
example lang na role players, Golden State this season eh. Knowing your role.
Sobra.
Simple. You have Steph.
Honestly lang I only see Steph as the main, as in superstar lang talaga. Siya lang talaga yung nakita.
And yet sila number 1 seed. Like, role
Well,
players.
para sa akin naman.
Everyone's accepting their roles kasi.
Yeah. Para sa akin, yes, mga role player. Pero you also have, when you're the star, you also have to know that you're the star. Anthony Davis, I mean, he was a top 5 player 2 years ago, nag-champion sila. I don't think you're gonna say that now, at all. I mean, he's still that talented, pero his mindset, ang pangit. Para sa akin, sobrang pangit ang mindset niya.
Nag-slack off na yun.
And
champion.
last year, there's no LeBron, no AD for almost more than half the season. The Lakers are the 7th seed. Right now, it's the 6th with AD there, playing almost every game. That should not be that should not be the case. I mean, AD should be dominating every single game. He's supposed to be one of the top 3 players in this league, but he's not. That's my issue sa Lakers right now. Not really anyone else. Just si AD lang talaga.
Ako like, sinabi ko kay Pio before the episode, if maglalagay ka talaga ng blame, dapat sa players. Kasi, okay, di ba sa Pilipinas, tayo, kung nagpo-practice tayo, yung individual work natin is based sa pinapagawa ng coach. Head coach. Kung ano sinasabi ng head coach, parang tinututukan talaga tayo sa mga individual progress natin. Pagdating sa pros, I don't know sa Philippines, pero alam ko sa US, pumupunta ka ng practice to practice plays and defensive strategies at kung ano pang team-related. Yung individual work mo is based on you, if you're gonna work on it or not. AD isn't, for me personally, isn't taking accountability yung mga responsibility niya as one of the bigger stars sa team niya. Sobrang, hindi ko alam yung laro niya ngayon, hindi ko magets.
Yeah.
And para sa akin, sinabi ni Laij kanina, team composition matters also. Hindi ibig sabihin na ikaw yung coach, kailangan mapaayos mo yung team composition. Kasi kung pangat yung composition ng team mo, kahit sobrang galing mong coach, feeling ko wala kang hindi ka magsasucceed. So example ngayon yung Lakers, kulang talaga sila ng shooter. Like, one of the biggest things that they needed off-season, shooting. Kinuha nila si Westbrook. No offense, no hate. Kinuha nila si Westbrook. Like, Anthony Davis right now, tama, top 5 player, dapat top 5 talent. Pero, pag nilalagay siya as a 5, kasi kulang sila ng big men, ang pangit talaga ng laro niya. Kasi power forward si AD. Ano siya, hindi siya yung makikipagbakbakan sa paint. So, ang pangit talaga, team comp ng Lakers. Like, tsaka nakikita mo talaga yung talagang narrative sa kanila na they're aging, dapat medyo, they should be better than what they are right now, which is the 16. Pero I don't think you should blame Frank Vogel naman.
Agree.
Nag-champion sila eh.
Tsaka yung shooting, you have shooters on the team. You have Malik Monk, you have Wayne Ellington, you have Carmelo, you have, sino yung rookie nila? Yung maputi?
Austin Reeves.
Yeah, I mean, he can shoot. I mean, LeBron's shooting got way better. Pero what I don't understand is why is AD the one taking the threes? His percent is like is sobrang baba ng percentage niya sa 3 eh. Just go inside.
I think he has the lowest right now.
Oh.
He has the lowest percentage beyond the arc.
I mean, you can't be stopped inside naman. Just go inside, get some double teams, kick it out. Para malibre din yung mga shooters. Kasi may shooters na yung Lakers eh.
Common sense na lang yung pagdating sa knowing your role. Parang alam mo kung saan ka magaling, doon mo na lang ilagay, hindi mo na lang, huwag mo na lang. Like, if it's working, why change it?
Tsaka yun natawa ko yung, ang daming post na, ito na si LeBron. Ito na naman si LeBron, he's back. The Lakers gonna win the chip. If LeBron is playing that way, the Lakers will not win the chip. He should not be the best player. He should not be the one doing this. I mean, you have 2 other stars. They should be dominating.
As well.
So many and if or
as well.
Honestly, kung titingnan mo, sobrang daming issues sa Lakers ngayon. So you can't really take the blame on one person. If you're gonna blame one person, I think you should blame everyone.
Siyempre, it's a team. Everyone takes the blame dapat dyan.
Yeah.
Hindi, tsaka sinabi ko din to kay Matt kanina niya, pre-show. Like, masyado tayong na blind na LeBron has been playing 19th year na niya ngayon. Like, consistent siya all throughout. Wala siyang major injury na he sets out pero hindi naman yung buong season. I think right now it's time to face facts na he really is his age now. Hindi na siya bata.
Father time is undefeated.
Father time is undefeated.
Okay. Bad shot. Don't blame it on Frank, bro.
Bad shot.
Next. Pinagtawanan natin si Byron sa last episode dahil sinabi niya si Montrezl Harrell daw na sa MVP race. Guess who replaced him now, bro? Okay. We have Steph Curry first, KD second, Giannis third, fourth si Nikola, fifth si CP3, sixth Rudy Gobert. Kahapon lang sinabi nasa 6 na siya ngayon ng MVP race. Ngayon hindi ko tatanungin kung good shot or bad shot yan eh. Does it make sense? Yun na lang. Does it make sense? Rudy Gobert, 6 sa MVP race.
Well,
out of all his teammates.
I guess yung mga wins kasi ng Jazz, it's really based on the defense. Like, they're not really outscoring that much teams. They're really just focused on defense this year. Pero top 3 sila offense and defense. So, I guess, not really on Gobert, pero that's on the coach for me. Like, why they're really succeeding.
So, Coach of the Year, hindi dapat Coach of the Year, hindi dapat MVP race. Kasi hindi, sa totoo lang, si Montrezl na defend mo last week. It made sense. Si Rudy, dapat defensive player, hindi MVP race.
Well, he's still valuable. He's really valuable to the Jazz naman.
Siguro,
in that case.
Stats-wise, siguro it makes sense kung ba't siya nandun. And the MVP naman is a regular season award. We all know that. Magaling naman talaga si Rudy sa regular season. Offense and defense. He's okay. He's good. Na-expose lang naman talaga siya sa playoffs. When it really comes down to it, talagang kaya nga sila natalo diba last year. Kasi offense-wise talagang wala eh. Si Donovan at saka si Jordan Clarkson, it starts with them. Tapos si Rudy talagang offensive liability siya. Pero siguro sa regular season, maganda naman talaga pinapakita niya. So, okay lang. 6 naman out of 5.
Okay lang.
So, okay lang.
Makes sense.
Okay lang.
Okay.
Ikaw, Laij.
Pero 6th out of all of the NBA
6 out of the 10.
sa buong NBA. Ako, I think it makes sense naman. Pero that doesn't mean na he deserved it. Kasi right now, parang yung NBA, they're taking the meaning of MVP literally. Parang as in yung most valuable talaga. And if you're gonna look at it that way, I think ayun nga, parang it makes sense naman talaga kasi just as Byron mentioned, yung defensive impact niya talaga sa Jazz team. And ayun nga, the reason why na Jazz, parang they're one of the top seeded teams sa, not just in the West, diba, pero in the NBA mismo. Ayun, I think that's yung defensive spark nila. It starts with Rudy talaga. And ayun nga, parang hindi mo rin naman kasi masasabi na take Rudy Gobert out of the Jazz and alam mo, parang makikita mo yung difference. Pero even though that's the case, parang ano pa rin eh, medyo valuable pa rin naman talaga sa Jazz si Rudy Gobert because of his defensive impact. Kaya parang it makes a little bit of sense naman talaga. Pero I'm not really sure if he deserves it.
It makes sense. Pero parang kaya mo naman sabihin na there are other players that deserve it more.
Yes.
Tama.
Yun lang.
Yeah, kahit 6th spot lang.
Actually,
He
speaking
got
of MVP,
over Zach. He got over Damar.
Jimmy.
More
Jimmy. Come on.
Yung ano pa rin talaga sa, I don't know why he's not in the conversation more. Still Paul George. I mean, Clippers
wala
Paul
siya.
George.
Wala
For me,
siya sa list.
Yeah.
He's injured
Saan
right
yung
now eh.
talk ba? Injured ba siya ngayon? Hindi siya naglaro.
Pero recently lang yun eh.
Pala.
No, but
Recently lang
Wala,
yun eh.
recency
Sabihin.
bias na talaga eh.
Diba?
Napakalalang recency bias naman ata nun. Ilang araw lang. Pero sige.
Isipin mo lang nang nag-uusap kay Jamorant, nobody's talking about Jamorant na.
Yun nga eh.
Well, tama.
Pero,
Oh.
galing ng Memphis kahit wala siya.
They're, ano ba, 4-1? 4-0? Something.
6-1 ata sila
6-1
without
without-
Jamorant.
6-1 I think.
Lakas ng Memphis.
Record.
Plus, sorry Matt, yung huge margin.
Whatever. We made history.
Siguro,
We made
it
history.
speaks
Yun lang.
of the magaling talaga yung Grizzlies with or
Grit
without
and
Ja.
grind talaga, yung grit and
Oh.
grind culture talaga nila eh.
Tsaka, Desmond Bain. Grabe. I mean, Desmond Bain. Puso yun eh. Puso.
Oo.
Dapat siya na lang ba, hindi si ano?
Nalaman lang si LBJ yun.
Okay, moving on. Last, for good shot, bad shot. Steve Kerr replaces Greg Popovich, Team USA coach. Yun lang. Good shot, bad shot. Yun lang.
Grabe sila.
Byron, ikaw na muna.
Yung mga Spurs fans dyan,
sige.
naman. Comment naman.
I'm
Show our
Team
true
USA.
colors.
Para, anong Team USA yan? Yung ba
Yeah,
yung
like the
kasama
official.
si Thomas?
For ano,
Official.
for the next
Everything.
World Cup and for the next Olympics.
World Cup and
Olympics.
Olympics.
Oo.
Well, matanda naman si Greg Popovich, so I understand.
Yeah.
Yeah, good shot. I mean, he's in his 70s. I don't expect him to coach forever naman.
That's, yun ako, again, sinabi ko kay Pio before the episode started. Hindi good shot siya. Hindi dahil matanda si Greg. Dahil hindi ako believe, sorry na lang sa inyong dalawa, pero hindi ako believe sa sistemang niraran niya na bagay siya sa Team USA. Because his type of system, sanay siya sa old school, look for the best shot, sanay siya sa system na hindi maraming stars. Yung, as in stars kasi may mga stars talaga na, yun, Tim Duncan. Iba naman yun sa scoring star katulad ni Jason Tatum. Like, iba yung the comparison is way different. So, yung system niya na running the plays hanggang makakuha ka ng best shot kasi yung stars mo willing mamasa ng ganito, ganyan for the best open shot. Hindi siya bagay sa team na puro stars. Na kahit papaano, aminin man natin o hindi, kahit ipakita man nila yun o hindi, may matataas na ego yan. Kahit sabihin mong for their country, medyo mahirap din. Parang sabihin na yung ego nila is lowered for the team success. Siyempre, recognition din nila yung Team USA yun. Diba? So, wala lang. Just a thought.
Yeah,
Honestly,
sige.
Sige, P.
For me, good shot siya kasi essentially si Steve Kerr, he played for Greg Popovich. And sinasabi naman niya all the time na when he coaches, he tries to be like Pop. Like, yung ball movement and all that, nauso naman yun dahil kay Pop. So, he'll bring, it's not like that's leaving Team USA naman. Like, kasi Steve Kerr, he coaches like Pop. Like, defense and offense. He tried to copy or tried to bring out the best. And, to Matt's point, if you're talking about someone who can control or who can make plays for stars talaga, like, hindi lang yung stars on a team, I think Steve Kerr can do it. Kasi, he coached, KD and Steph on the same team. Ilang beses sila nag-finals. Back-to-back champions. So, okay lang siya. And the assistant coaches din ng Team USA na bago, okay sila. Monty Williams and Spoelstra. And Gonzaga's head coach. So, it's a good direction for them.
College, ano yung sabi mo?
Yeah. Honestly, good shot. And yung going back to what Matt said, I think that sums up why yung sa style of coaching rin ni Coach Pop. And yung minention ni Matt, parang hindi siya bagay to coach superstars na that has, medyo mataas yung ego. Kasi kung titingnan mo naman yung mga players ni Coach Pop, kahit nga yung mga superstars niya, si Tim Duncan, kahit si Kawhi Leonard nung nasa Spurs siya,
Yeah.
wala siyang ego eh. Sabihin natin ball hog siya, pero hindi naman medyo malaki yung ego niya compared kay KD or sino man.
Damian Lillard.
Yeah. Damian Lillard. And to include I think for me, if seasonal team yung Team USA, like yung team na yon, they're gonna parang for the whole year sila or actually not just for one whole year. Kunwari like in the NBA talaga. Kunwari if NBA team sila, then year in year out halos same lang yung roster. I think Pop would be a good coach for that. Pero yung Team USA once every 4 years lang naman So yung chemistry hindi talaga nabibuild up.
Tsaka
And for me, I think yung specialty ni Coach Pop is to build chemistry muna. Kaya pero right now, kasi parang 3 to 4 weeks nga lang sila nagmi-meet yung Team USA. Kaya I think that's a big issue rin for Coach Pop. Kaya parang I think it's a good shot. Kasi hindi talaga bagay yung style of coaching sa Team USA.
Well, pati rin din sa chemistry. I mean, medyo short lang talaga yung time nila bago sila naglaro. Sina Booker, di ba, after ng finals lang nakarating. So, I mean, medyo nag-gel lang talaga sila during nung naglalaro na sila. So, kung tumagal naman, they would know how to play with each other better naman sa system.
They won the gold medal though, so no complaints.
Yeah.
I mean, realistically, USA is always gonna be a favorite. So, to win any competition. So, yung coach siguro na lang yun. Cherry on top of the roster. Cherry on top na lang.
Sabagay.
Kaya okay lang.
Yeah.
Good shot naman, good shot. Okay, that's that for good shot, bad shot. And moving on sa next topic. Topic of the day. Topic of this episode. So, syempre, as basketball fans, meron kami mga paboritong teams. Ako, Thunder. Si Laij, tsaka si Byron, Carlo, Aquino, Leuterio. Spurs.
Yes, sir.
Si Sams dapat kasama siya dito pero may nangyari may pang busy sa APAD. So, ano ba yung sabi niya? Charlotte
Charlotte ata siya.
Basta
Charlotte nga ata.
Charlotte. Tawang si Pio, hindi ko alam minsan kung anong favorite team niya. Pero right now, he's gonna be representing Houston.
My explanation naman on ba't Rockets yung pinili ko for...
Jalen din yan eh. Kababayan.
Pinoy pride.
Hindi, pero yun. So, yun nga, may favorite teams kami. And we picked the top 5 players of our favorite teams. Tapos, paglalabanan namin sa isa't isa. And popost namin sa IG, you know, so you can vote who you think would win. But, for now, pag-usapan muna namin yun.
So, di ba, no? First 5. Hindi
First
lang top 5.
First five. With 6 man and coach.
Pero keep in mind, na pinili namin to with the thought na maglalaban talaga yung mga teams. Hindi yung dahil...
So, kailangan playstyle.
It makes sense. The team,
it all
the
matters.
system. Hindi lang dahil magaling yung player. Also,
hindi lang yung kukuha ka ng limang guards, lalaro mo.
5 big man, mga ganun.
Also, dapat ma-defend mo yung player na pinili mo with his like one of his best years being on that team. For example lang, sa Thunder, if I picked Harden to be part of my team, I can't defend him by saying nag-MVP kasi siya. Kasi dahil yung MVP season niya nasa Houston, hindi sa Thunder. Pag pinili ko si Harden, dapat ma-explain ko as Thunder Harden, yung 6-man na Harden, kung bakit siya yung pipiliin ko. So, gano'n lang. And with that, dahil wala si Pio, the last episode, siya mauuna. Bago mo sabihin yung 5 mo, explain mo muna bakit Houston yung favorite team mo.
Okay, so, siguro kung kalala niyo ako, magugulat ka kung bakit Houston yung pinili kong team. Pero kasi, yung dad ko nung 19 or 20 siya, 20 years old, nag-migrate kasi sila sa States, sila ng lola ko. And nag-migrate sila sa Houston, kasi doon nakatira yung family ng lola ko. So, syempre yung dad ko, naging basketball fan naman talaga siya nun, pero naging fan talaga siya nung lumipat sa Houston. Kinikwento niya sa akin, kapag home games daw sa old arena ng Houston, may tickets talaga siya. Season tickets talaga. Because he had a good job there. So, kinikwento niya na talagang favorite player niya, he thinks Michael Jordan is the GOAT. Pero yung second best para sa kanya, si Hakeem. Kasi yun yung pinanood niya sa States. So, Hakeem fan talaga yung dad ko. And when I was growing up, bago pa ako nagkaroon ng malay sa basketball, alam ko lang na kailangan panoorin ko yung Rockets. Kasi family affair siya for us. We have relatives in Houston. Yung brother ng dad ko hanggang ngayon, drummer siya sa Houston Rockets talaga. Kaya, nung nagpa-playoffs yung Rockets, talaga every year may t-shirt ako ng Rockets sa playoffs. Example na to, ito yung Game 7 shirt ng Conference Finals against the Warriors. So, every year talaga may merch ako ng Rockets. Kaya, sila yung pinili ko na team today. So, sa point guard ko, maraming magaling na point guard sa Houston. Pero, I picked Chris Paul, even if he only played 2 seasons in Houston.
Okay.
Sa 2 seasons na yun, na-lead niya yung Rockets to playoff finishes. First year, Western Conference Finals. Second year, Conference Semifinals. Losing both to the KD-led Warriors. Super team naman sila nun. Nung nasa Rockets naman si Chris Paul, maganda yung pinakita niya. He's a leader. He led the team with Harden. Siya yung facilitator. And magaling naman siya na scorer and on defense. He averaged 17 points, 8 assists. Almost 2 steals in the regular season. In the playoffs, 19 points, 5 assists, 2 steals na, and 6 rebounds. And I think as far as a point guard goes, Chris Paul really is one of the best. Kahit na 2 years nga lang siya sa Houston. Shooting guard, of course, kailangan nandiyan si James Harden. Consistent all-star siya sa Houston. Nag-MVP siya noong 2018, 3-time scoring champ. What more can you say? And second facilitator, he can pass the ball. Nung nasa Houston siya, more often than not siya yung runner-up kung sino yung nananalo sa MVP. He lost twice to Steph, he lost to Westbrook, and then Giannis twice ata ulit. So,
He won though.
Wala. Nothing much said. James Harden is James Harden. For my small forward, baka magulat kayo, I picked Clyde Drexler. Champion siya with the Rockets 1995. Kahit na aging na siya noong 1995, magaling pa siya. Magaling pa siya talaga. 21 points maximum per game, really is good. And widely considered pa rin yung trade na Rockets for him in mid-season to be one of, if not the best mid-season trades kasi napachampion niya yung Rockets. So, power forward ko, syempre, si Hakeem, yung favorite player ng dad ko.
4?
If nagtataka kayo kung si Hakeem, pwede siya mag-play ng power forward. Nung 80s hanggang mga early 90s ata, he played power forward kasi meron silang Ralph Sampson. And natural position talaga ni Hakeem yung power forward.
Parang
so
madaya to si Parang madaya.
So he can play talaga.
Si Pio parang pinagsama si Kwame at saka si Slaughter eh.
He can really play the power forward. What more can I say with Hakeem? 2-time champion, back-to-back finals MVP also. In 1994, nanalo siya ng MVP, Defensive Player of the Year, Championship at saka Finals MVP. Kulang na lang sa kanya All-Star Game MVP. One of the best defenders ever, back-to-back Defensive Player of the Year 1993-1994. Hall of Famer siya because of his career in the Rockets. At center, syempre, you can't beat height. Yao Ming. In the Rockets, he averaged 19 points a game, 9 rebounds, and almost 2 blocks. Kahit na-derail yung career niya from injury, maraming nagsasabi, kahit si Shaq, na if hindi na-derail yung career ni Yao Ming with injuries, he would have finished as one of the best big men ever. Tsaka rare ka makakita ng kahit ni Yao, 7'6", na nagdo-dominate pa rin. Kasi marami namang matatangkad na naglalaro sa NBA. Pero Yao still dominated the game. 6-man ko si Tracy McGrady. Of course, off the bench spark plug siya. He's clutch also. Syempre, sikat yung kaka-anniversary lang ata nung 13 points in 30 seconds niya. The other day ata. Tapos, syempre as my coach, honorable mention na lang siguro si D'Antoni. Pero, with my team, syempre kailangan si Rudy Tomjanovic. Siya yung coach ni Hakeem. Back-to-back champion din siya. Post-led yung offense niya. So, syempre with Hakeem and Yao Ming, post-led pwede. Pero, he also inverted the offense. Siya yung mga nag-post na noong 90s. Yung guards niya nagsiscore talaga from the perimeter. So, kung back then, sina Kenny Smith, Sam Cassell, Vernon Maxwell, and Clyde Drexler noong 1995. Ngayon with Chris Paul, James Harden. What more can you want? Defense, Clyde can defend 1-3. Chris Paul can defend also. Hakeem is one of the best defenders to ever walk the court. So, yeah, yun yung masasabi ko.
Sounds like a pretty good lineup. Yung lineup ko napamukhang ewan tuloy dahil sa mga sinabi niyang pangalan. Pero sabi ko lang, Pio, medyo madaya yung yung Hakeem-Yao combination mo, medyo...
Hindi, naglaro talaga si nung 90s lang naman nag-move si Hakeem sa center kasi wala na si Ralph Sampson. Pero power forward talaga laro niya.
Slaughter yan, daya ka eh. Sige, yun na lang. Wala kasi akong ganun. Wala akong ganung klaseng lineup. Pero... Okay. Akin Thunder. Medyo funny story yung... kung bakit Thunder yung favorite team ko. So, nung first episode, sinabi ko na yung unang game na napanood ko was the Lakers and Celtics finals. During that time, since paborito ng lolo ko yung Lakers, yun din yung naging favorite team ko. Pero, siguro years go by. Yung next na naging favorite team ko was Sacramento. For the simple reason.
Bakit?
For the simple reason na yung pangalan ko nandun.
Wow!
Yung pangalan ko nandun. Pero, as stupid as it sounds, it made sense at the time. Ngayon nakakatawa na lang pakinggan yun. Pero, and then, yung favorite player ko nun sa team na yun si Rudy Gay. Yung magaling na Rudy Gay pa nun. Magaling na Rudy Gay. Not so sure. Basta, he was part of Memphis na eh. Then, the next seasons ba? Kasama ba siya? I don't have the good memory for it. Pero, I think kasama siya sa grit and grind na Memphis? Kasama ba siya dun? Yung mga Zach Randolph?
2011. Yeah, nandun siya.
Oo, nandun
Pero
siya.
Yung
Zach Randolph.
Memphis na tumalo sa first seeded Spurs.
pero na-injure siya.
Andun siya. Yung tandaan ko yun. That's why, since siya yung paborito ko nun, napalipat ako sa Memphis as my favorite team. Yun lang. Kasi hindi, ako, kilala niyo ako bilang, I like the grit and grind type of basketball. It's like, tough basketball. Gusto ko yun eh. Kaya talaga naging paborito ko Memphis. And then I realized they suck. So, during that time, wala lang, nanonood lang ako ng basketball. Tapos, may napanood akong Westbrook at saka KD. Westbrook and KD, this was the year before they went to the finals. So, hindi ako naging fan dahil nakaabot sila ng finals. The year before, I saw them play an explosive point guard, tapos almost a 7-footer na small forward na kayang tumira tapos ganun kabilis. Athletic, bilis, like, a dream type player. So, nagustuhan ko sila and wala, as days go by, naging loyal na ako sa team na yun. Kahit kami yung may pinakamalaking talo in NBA history, sila pa rin paborito kong team. So, yeah. Speaking of Westbrook and Durant, point guard ko syempre, Russell Westbrook. MVP,
Mr. Thunder.
triple-double machine, Mr. Thunder. Dinala niya sa team, after KD left, he brought that team the 6th seed as the MVP. I mean, 6th seed lang, pero during that time, wala nakakaisip na makakapagdala siya ng team sa playoffs. He averaged the triple-double that season, nung time na wala nakakaisip na may makakagawa ulit nun since Oscar Robertson. So, self-explanatory. Again, mahilig ako sa grit and grind type of player. Tough. Goes 100% every game. 110% every game. Athletic, can dunk on you. And he will trash talk the hell out of you. That's why I love him as a player. He was my favorite player before he went to Houston. Pero, you know, Josh Giddey tayo eh. Pero sige.
Yan.
At my shooting guard, syempre you already have that athletic point guard. Guy can get rebounds, points, inside, and assists. With the assist, kailangan niya syempre ng papasahan. Syempre, maglalagay tayo ng shooter. Oo nga pala yung team ko, halo ng Supersonics at saka Thunder para lang sa mga nanonood. Kasi they're basically the same team na nalipat lang naman eh. So, Ray Allen, shooting guard. Ray Allen nilagay ko sa shooting guard. The Supersonics Ray Allen was beast.
Yeah.
That's where he averaged the most points in his entire career. I think that's where he averaged 20s. Yeah. First year with the Sonics, 26.4 points per game. Then 25 points per game. Then a consistent 23 points per game the next 2 seasons. Then after nun, bumaba na siya sa 20 and then pababa na ng pababa. So, his prime scoring was in Seattle. And you can't deny how much of a shooter he is. Like, if you're talking about greatest shooters, he's always gonna be in that conversation.
Yeah.
So, since may umaatake na sa loob para sa akin sa point guard, pag nag-collapse sa kanya in defense, kaya niya papasahan sa labas, you have Ray Allen. Isa pa niyang pwedeng pasahan sa labas, at the small forward, Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant. Do I need to say anything? Kevin Durant. Like at that time, at this our generation, nung wala na si Kobe, walang MJ, walang Kobe, we have LeBron and KD. Bago pa dumating si Steph, we had LeBron and KD. Those two guys were always 1 and 2. And I don't know the conversation now anymore kasi hindi ko na siya sinusubaybayan dahil inahas niya yung team ko. Pero Kevin Durant, one of the greatest scorers you can ever see at his height. He's a very quick player. He has very good footwork. Can work on the post. Can work on pull-up 3. Yung ano niya, hesitation tapos biglang pull-up 3. Can dunk on you. Isa pa yun mo, lakas mong trash talk. He was an MVP. Mom was the real MVP, sabi niya. But KD is KD. Hooper's hoop. Ano lang yan, simple as that. So, I have Westbrook to pass around the ball, to score inside. We have Ray Allen to catch and shoot. KD to ISO, and also catch and shoot sometimes. Now we have to have a tough guy inside at the 4. The athletic Sean Kemp. If you have... nowadays, you need a stretch 4, right? You would need a stretch 4 most of the time. But, athletic, like, as in banggaan lang na big man, even sa time ngayon, sobrang halaga. Sobrang effective. Even though Zion, example lang, Zion, I mean, he's not the player yet that we want him to be. Pero Zion, you can see how effective he is with his body, athleticism, and all that. And then, ano po ba yung isa pa? Si Giannis. Kailan lang naman siya nag-develop ng 3-point shot, pero he uses athleticism and length. And for those who don't know, Sean Kemp is very athletic. Very, very athletic, lalo na pagdating sa dunks. And the team needs that guy. So, at the center, I was... Okay. Originally, I was thinking Steven Adams. Steven Adams was the guy I was thinking of because of the intangibles. Simple screen, simple box out, simple rebounds, blocks, defensive leader. You all need that. But let's not forget how good of a defensive player Serge Ibaka was. Serge Ibaka, while he was there, led the whole Thunder team in blocks every time he was there.
Ibaka, diba?
Ibaka, exactly. And if you have already a big man that is powerful and dominant in the paint, you can't pack the paint with another big man like Steven Adams. We need a big man who can shoot from at least mid-range consistently. He was a consistent mid-range shooter. That's why I'm picking Serge at my center, where they can switch depending on who they will defend. For my 6th man, it's pretty obvious. I have James Harden. Now, the 6th man, James Harden. I'm not talking about the MVP one. The 6th man,
Harden.
he was still good. During the time that they went to the finals, he led the bench in scoring. He was the 6th man of the year during that time. So if we're talking about 6th man, syempre, sino pipiliin mo kung hindi yung 6th man of the year? It makes sense.
Tama naman.
Diba? Ba't ka pipili ng hindi 6th man of the year siya? So, syempre, dapat may recognition siya. Pero yung 6th man, kung yun yung kailangan ko, scoring off the bench, James Harden ang sagot. And obviously, hindi ko pwedeng magamit as my defensive point yung pagiging MVP niya. Pero alam naman natin kung gano'n siya kagaling na player.
Yeah.
Dahil umabot siya sa ganong klaseng level. So, for him to come off the bench with that potential and with his ability to score, that would be valuable. And of course, Coach Scott Brooks, dahil siya lang yung nag-iisang coach na napapunta sa finals, ang Thunder. Now, George Karl can be a conversation, pero maraming naging problema ang mga players kay George Karl. So, you wouldn't want to mess up that chemistry.
Yeah.
So, that's why I'm picking Scott Brooks, where Westbrook and KD and Ibaka liked him as a coach. Hindi siya na nagka-problema katulad ni Gary Payton at saka ni George Karl o ni Sean Kemp at ni George Karl. Walang problema sa coaching pagdating kay Scott Brooks. That's my 5. Na pagdating naman pag defending, siguro Olajuwon and Yao Ming, sobrang undersized ng players ko. But athleticism, speed, siguro yun na lang yung magiging advantage ko pagdating na. I'm confident with my team. I mean, that's my favorite team. So, stick by my favorite team. Next, the Spurs people.
Ito na nga.
Paki-explain naman po
So,
bakit naging favorite team yung Spurs.
Okay, so ako naman. So ito lang.
Byron
growing up.
Leuterio at point guard. Guard,
Well, yeah.
shooting guard, SF, forward,
Siyempre naman.
center, 6th man. Coach GM,
Coach.
Leuterio. Pati courtside reporter eh.
But hindi ka. So, growing up, my favorite player was Kobe Bryant. So, walang relate sa Spurs.
Kobe.
Same.
Same
So,
din
siya
naman.
yung, siya yung MJ when I was growing up. That's Kobe. Tapos, galing na galing ako kay Kobe, especially on his scoring. Like, greatest scorer na I've watched. Pero, my brother was a Laker fan. I don't want to root for the same team as my brother. So, when I watched the Spurs and the Lakers, Kobe was clamped. So, sabi ko, iba tong Spurs na to. Iba yung defense, iba yung discipline. And their leader, their star, Tim Duncan, as stoic, was one of the greatest of all time talaga. Is one of the greatest of all time. So, yun, nagustuhan ko talaga yung Spurs. And, more importantly, why? 'Cause I don't like LeBron. So, in 2014 finals, when they destroyed the Heat, panis eh. Ako sabi, panis eh.
Kain ba? Kain.
Kain talaga, kain. And yung ball movement, mayroong video na nag-viral dati yung The Beautiful Game. I watched that video, the Spurs passing, iba talaga. Iba yung passing na sa isa't isa. It was just really fun to watch. And yung nagsimula ng pandemic, nag-post na yung NBA sa YouTube nila yung mga games before, yung throwback games. So napapanood ko yung finals nila against New Jersey, yung finals nila against Detroit. It's really a defensive-minded team na basta para sa akin nagandahan talaga sa mga ganong klaseng teams eh. Yan yung mga trip ko dati, pag napanood yung Bad Boys, mga highlights yan, Bad Boys, Pistons, yun yung mga gusto kong teams eh. So ayun, nagandahan talaga sa team nila. It's always low scoring, yun yung mga trip kong games. Ayoko yung mga umabot ng 130, hindi ko trip yung mga ganyan.
Okay.
Yeah. So, to start my starting five, as I mentioned, of course, it's a no-brainer. The best front court duo of all time, for me. Tim Duncan and David Robinson. David Robinson, the Admiral, what can I say, MVP, two-time champion for the Spurs, made the Spurs relevant for the whole 90s. Except for yung 1 year na na-injure siya, which nadulot yung first pick, and that's Tim Duncan. Tim Duncan, the greatest Spur of all time. In my top 10, personally, greatest of all time. And what can I say about Tim Duncan? 2 MVPs, all 5 rings. Every year he was in the playoffs. The Spurs revolved around Tim Duncan, basically. And one of the greatest defenders of all time, a very underrated, as she mentioned nga last episode, should have been Defensive Player of the Year. At least once.
Yep.
So, that's Tim Duncan. And, of course, 2 of the most selfless stars that you can see in the league history. And with those 2, I feel like I have to get a point guard that facilitates, that controls the pace as well as anybody, and that's Tony Parker. No one really expected Tony Parker to be what he was. But the Spurs saw something in him, and he did not disappoint. Finals MVP in 2007. 4 rings. Still a top 75 snub for me, Tony Parker. And one of the best point guards the whole 2000s din talaga. And was very consistent up to the early 2010s. A true leader, controls the pace, like what I said. And of course, when you have those 3, I feel like you need a lockdown defender talaga.
Oh, yeah, lockdown.
Lockdown defender and the guy who you can go to in the clutch. And of course,
Mr. Fun
Guy. Kawhi Leonard,
Guy.
2014 MVP, Finals MVP, and that was not even his best year as a Spur. In 2017 ba yun? Yung na-injure siya, yung Warriors. They were up 20 against the Warriors, against the KD-led Warriors, and you saw the impact nung nawala siya. Kawhi Leonard was really the best two-way player in those years. Runner-up ng MVP rin multiple times. You can see yung clutch din ni Kawhi. He has many moments as a Spur. And of course, locking down multiple players, LeBron in the finals. Like, I wouldn't say that lockdown, pero his defensive impact, you can really see it. So, and of course, my go-to guy sa clutch, ang Spurs when I put Kawhi Leonard. And for my two guard, I don't really expect this much, pero I got another lockdown defender, and that's Bruce Bowen.
Bruce Bowen.
5-time first team all defense, 3-time second team all defense, 3 rings with the Spurs. Lockdown LeBron in 2007. That's really why LeBron wasn't really much of a factor in finals. And a spot-up shooter also, make shot in the big moments. And more importantly, this is the reason why I have him as my starter, as my shooting guard. Because unlike yung mga teams nyo, you can't put Tracy McGrady in the bench in the clutch moments. He would not agree to that. You cannot put James Harden at the bench on the clutch moments. Bruce Bowen will willingly go to the bench for the fourth, so Manu Ginobili can play in the clutch. And Manu Ginobili, the greatest sixth man in NBA history, I said it, Manu Ginobili, all-star as a sixth man. He's been really big for the Spurs. I mean, it's very self-explanatory why Manu Ginobili would be there. 4 rings, the block on Harden, multiple moments, the dunk on Chris Bosh. Really, is really a different kind of player that the Spurs really find. I mean, when you say a Spurs player is really disciplined, looks for the best shots, and Manu Ginobili's the exact opposite. He was just a spark off the bench, yet a very high IQ. So, and I think that would round out the bench naman. When he plays in the fourth, that gives another go-to guy that makes big shots. And this is the best shot that I remembered from Manu Ginobili. Was in 2014 when he closed out the OKC Thunder. Sarap. Ang sarap sa feeling.
Teka lang.
Game 6, he just hit the 3.
Patama man.
Sarap.
Kanina niyo pa pinapatama yung team ko. Teka lang Kanina pa talaga. Chill lang kayo. O, diba?
Marami.
Ang dami na eh. Nakakailan na kayo eh.
And of course, si Coach Greg Popovich. I mean, it's no-brainer.
No, bro.
Yeah.
Sa bagay.
So
Question.
naman, Laij, I saved some for you there.
Teka lang. Question.
Hmm.
You said that Tracy and James won't be willing to come off to be on the bench in clutch situations. You think Ray Allen would be willing to
But
come off to be
Why
on the
would you
bench
put Ray
during
Allen on the bench in the clutch moments?
No, I'm asking, do you think he will be willing to? Tapos si James maglalaro.
Yes.
Oo.
Yes, but I would rather have Ray Allen.
Oh. Tama. Kaya may team ako eh. Siya yung clutch eh.
I mean, if we're talking about primary Allen at saka OKC Harden.
Yeah, I would pick Ray Allen too.
Primary
Kaya
Allen.
nga siya yung starter ko eh. Pero si Laij, ikaw naman, bakit naging favorite team mo Spurs?
Okay, sige.
Mm.
Yung story naman ito, medyo magulo. Like, yung katulad na rin ng kay Matt. Oh my gosh. Paano ko ba explain to? Sige, start ko na sa pinaka, talaga. Like, the very beginning, like, as in start talaga, like, how much I love, parang yung beginning ng why I love the NBA. So, basically, as same as Byron, growing up, I mean, starting, as parang sa simula pa lang, Kobe was my favorite player. Pero of course, nung time kasi yung may malay pa tayo, which was like 2007, 2008. Yung best player kasi naman talaga ni si Kobe eh. So, sumasali lang ako sa trend, sa sikat. So, ayun, I was like a Laker, I was a Lakers fan during that time. I was a Kobe fan. Tapos, parang as years go by, parang naisip ko, parang daming Lakers fan sa mundo. Like, parang nakakasawa na eh. Parang nung time na yun, like 2008, 2009, 2010.
Gusto mo maiba?
Halos lahat ng mga tinatanong ko sa school, yo, who's your favorite team? Wag mo sabihin Lakers ha. Pero Lakers pa rin yung sinasabi nila eh. So ayun, medyo ano ba yun, nakakasawa talaga. So, I started to, parang, hindi pa sikat yung bandwagon nun, pero I was kind of like a bandwagon during that time. Honestly, medyo weird yung situation ko nun. I remember, I was a Hawks fan pa nung time na yun. I was a Mike Bibby fan.
Mike Bibby.
Tapos, doon na yung time na, doon na rin yung time na, nag-emerge si Derrick Rose, and that's when I realized Derrick Rose was probably my favorite player. So, nung time na yun, nung nasa MVP nung MVP season ni
Teka lang.
Derrick Rose, I was a Chicago Bulls fan.
Teka lang. Ano? Nung nag-emerge ka? Derrick Rose?
Yep.
Teka lang.
So, ayun, sige, to continue. The next year, the MVP season, oh my gosh, na-injure. Pero I was still a Chicago Bulls fan. Pero yung parang, yung lagi kong the thing that I was looking forward to every year was, sana there's a team na may talunin ang Miami Heat. Because I didn't want LeBron to win a championship.
Same.
Kasi nung time na he hasn't won a championship eh. So, ayun, para kiligin si Armat, for 1 year, I was an OKC fan. and kasi sila yung
Sila yung nasa finals.
Di ba kasi the best team nung sa West was the Spurs. Di ba they're first seeded? And tinalo lang ng OKC.
Ulitin mo ngayon, yung Laij. Sino tumalo sa Spurs?
Tumalo sa Spurs.
Sino?
Ulitin ko yan.
Nakalimutan ko.
Yeah, kasi on paper naman talaga, like, mas talented naman kasi yung OKC that time. Even though they were young and they were like inexperienced compared to Spurs. On paper, mas malakas OKC.
Wala kayong tabo sa
The next
fellowship.
year,
Tabo sa fellowship naman.
walang sa fellowship. The next year, Spurs naman yung may chance to beat the Heat during the finals. Pero let's not talk about the finals. Talo sila eh. Pero I wanna talk about, like, every time pinapanood ko yung Spurs nung time na yun, this was like 2012, 2013. Parang naiisip ko, parang if compare mo yung style of play ng Spurs compared sa Miami Heat, OKC, basically any good team or any team, parang sobrang mature nila maglaro. And hindi pa nagsa-start yung game. Hindi pa tapos yung laro. Parang the way they play, parang na-predict mo, ay nako, manalo tong Spurs na to. Because of the way they play. Parang like, they play so maturely, and parang they play as a whole, parang nagagawa nilang, parang like, if you're gonna watch the Miami Heat compared sa style of play ng Spurs, parang they're like a junior varsity team eh. Kasi yung style of play talaga ng Spurs, parang pang talaga, as in basketball talaga, walang arte, like simple lang talaga maglaro. And that's when I realized na I'm gonna be a Spurs fan. Hindi na ako magbabandwagon. So the next year, 2014, basically nung first round yung first round pa nahirapan sila. Yun yung
Mavs, diba?
round na hirap sila sa Dallas Mavericks. Umabot pa ng game 7. There was a time na parang 3-2 lead pa ata yung na 3-2 pa ata sila ng Mavs. Pero during that time, I was like, mananalo tong Spurs na to. Then the next the next round, kalaban nila Portland. I was like, you know what, the Spurs are gonna win it. Then the next, OKC na naman.
Yeah.
Ayun, medyo kinabahan ako nun. Pero first 2 games, they dominated the Thunder. Then I realized, kain to.
Okay, tumigil ka na ulit.
Pero nung nag-2-2 lead sila, I was like, you know what, I think mas mature pa rin talaga maglaro yung Spurs, and I think they're gonna, get away with the win. And lo and behold, nakapasok sila sa finals. Ayun, then finals came. Spurs and Heat na. And I was like, coming from a loss, from a devastating loss, game 7 loss, parang nalaman ko, feeling ko parang mapapaiyak si LeBron sa style of play ng Spurs nung time na yun. And then lo and behold, parang, ano ba to? Like, nung 2014 finals na yun, that was like the most dominant or it's like one-sided finals ever. Parang every single game.
Biggest,
Tambak.
largest total margin, di ba? Of all time.
Largest total margin of error, joke lang. Basta, every game tambak na tambak. And doon ko na-realize, if this first team, parang, if they were still intact through the years, I think they could have won it every single year. Pero, well, as much as na sobrang dominant ng Spurs, minsan din kasi medyo predictable rin eh. Pero I think, yun nga, I think yung pinaka talaga, yung pinaka prominent reason talaga na why, for me, favorite team ko yung Spurs, is yung style of play talaga nila. And sobrang simple lang, and talaga sobrang unique. Parang hindi sila they don't really rely on a superstar. Even though, let's say na si Tim Duncan naman talaga superstar nun. Pero nung time na yon, nung matanda na si Tim, they never really relied on one player only. They relied on everyone else. And yun yung dahilan kung bakit ko nagustuhan talaga yung Spurs. So with that, sa lineup sa best 5 ko naman, I think halos parehas lang naman talaga with Byron. Pero yung difference is, isa-start ko si Ginobili sa 2. So basically, Tony Parker at the 1, Manu at the 2, tapos Kawhi at the 3, Tim and David Robinson at the front court. And I think the reason why na linagay ko si Manu sa 2 guard is because even though let's say na parang masasabi natin na if 6 man si Manu, dun yung pinaka niya eh. Like parang yun yung pinaka if he's the 6th man, that's where you're gonna produce the most. Kasi mga let's say sa first quarter, parang parang latter part of the first quarter, mga subs na yung mga linalaro, doon na nagdo-dominate si Manu. Pero with how I look at it, if let's say nag-start si Manu, he has more playing time. And I think parang ano ba tawag dito? If he had more playing time, like his
Career stats.
Yung career stats niya magbo-boost. Like if you look at his numbers, hindi naman talaga ganun ka amazing, wow, compared kay kay Manu, kay Tim Duncan, kay David Robinson, or not just sa Spurs, or let's say sa OKC rin, yung stats ni KD, tapos yung kay Pio, yung stats ni Hakim. It's not really gonna wow you, pero yung impact talaga niya ni Manu. That's why I think if he played a little bit more, if he started, I think medyo mas magiging mas ma-accentuate pa yung dominance talaga ng Spurs, and dun makikita ng not just Spurs fans but everyone who watches the NBA na parang mas dominant pa yung Spurs.
No.
Yeah, Manu started.
Teka lang. Naglag.
Tapos
Ay, rin ba?
Hindi, dito ako.
Nangyari.
Hello?
Kasama ba kayo? Sabay kayo.
Hello?
Teka lang.
Yan.
Yan, okay na.
lahat kayo naka-dead though.
Sabay kayo na wala.
Kayong
Kasama
dalawa
ba kayo?
na wala sa amin eh.
Nag-lag rin ba kayo?
Kayong dalawa na wala sa
Sabay
amin.
kayo
Kayong
dalawa
dalawa
ni Tio.
Parang dalawa ni P.
Sabay pa.
Hindi na talaga kami makaano.
Tandem talaga eh.
Wala yung P. Tandem talaga. So ayun nga, with Manu Ginobili, I think he would have talagang yung legacy niya and yung impact talaga mas magiging obvious talaga if he started. Tapos, ayun, sa 6, ayun nga, halos same lang naman talaga with Byron. Tapos, sa 6th man ko, baka magulat na lang kayo, pero for me, yung 6th man ko is si Boris Dio.
Boring.
Yeah. And, ito, like, before I explain why, to me kasi, yung style of play ng Spurs, yung Greg Popovich coach Spurs, For me kasi, as long as you have like 1 star, you can basically put any player in other positions. Or kahit hindi si Tim Duncan, let's say Kawhi Leonard at the SF. I think you can make any combination of role players and, you know, mga players na would accept any type of role that's thrown into them. Kasi, ayun nga, yung style of play, hindi talaga relied on one player. Parang, talaga, it's like a collective type of play. And the reason why Boris Diaw is in my honorable mention is because he's like for me, parang nakita, if the Spurs system is a person, I think it would be Boris Diaw. Kasi selfless siya. He's not like a scorer or, alam mo yun, parang he impacts the game in any other ways. Parang ano ba siya? It's like, isipin mo Magic Johnson, pero walang may kilala sa kanya. Ganyan yung nakita ko sa kanya. Like, he's a center, di ba? He's a big. Pero kung if makita mo lang siya paano maglaro, he's kind of like a point guard eh. Parang, let's see, kapag hawak niya ng bola, ipapasa niya kaagad. Pero hindi naman bara-bara lang napasa. Like he reads talaga the situations, like every move, every place. And yun yung nakaka-mesmerize sa kanya kasi yung decision making niya sobrang ganda and it fits talaga sa Spurs system. That's why I couldn't really leave him out, even though there are guys like George Irvin, sa multiple all-star.
Teka.
Marcus Aldridge.
Teka lang. Speaking of honorable mentions, inunahan mo naman kami, Laij. Speaking of honorable mentions, siyempre, sa mga sinabi natin mga players, meron tayong mga honorable mentions, diba? Of course, yun nga, tapos sabi ni Laij, George Irvin, Marcus Aldridge. In my end, may Gary Payton ka, may Paul George ka, Steven Adams, SGA.
Yan.
SGA.
Josh
Giddey.
Lou Dort.
Beasley.
Mike
Hashim
Muscala.
Thabit, Deontay Burton. Ayan.
Kendrick Perkins.
Hindi. Pero I mean,
Gerald Green.
Jeff Green. Supersonics Jeff Green. Supersonics Jeff Green. Yung mga ganun ba? Meron tayong mga ganun. Yung si Laij, tuloy mo yung sinasabi mo. Sino pa? George Gervin, LaMarcus Aldridge.
Pa ba yung mga notable
Danny Green.
honorable mentions?
Danny Green, Patty Mills.
DeRozan.
Si Fabricio Oberto. Ayun, si DeRozan rin. Honestly, it's actually a perfect Spur pero defensive-wise, medyo liability siya. Pero I think he's deserving to be an honorable mention. Bad timing lang kasi. Nung nasa Spurs si DeMar, everyone regress na, pati sila Marcus.
Ikaw, Byron.
Sino pa ba?
May naisip ka pa, Byron? To Spurs?
Well, for me, yung mga naisip ko nga para sa Spurs, honorable mention, hindi yung mga star talaga, yung mga very key sa mga Spurs championships, kind of like Brent Barry, Michael Finley, Steve Kerr, Steve Smith,
Robert
Horry, those who understood their role. And kahit sa Thiago Splitter, Gary Neal, yung mga yan, yung mga
Gary Neal.
trip ko talaga nung
Gary
Spurs,
Neal.
Dewan Blair, yung Nazir Mohammed,
Steven Jackson.
Steven Jackson.
Steven Jackson.
Pero
So yun yung mga naalala ko. And of course, na Sean Elliott din, Avery Johnson, early 90s.
kayo may ganyan. Ako, may Nick Collison. Okay, ilang taon lang nawala, na-retire na.
Nag-isip nga tayo ng mga honorable
Ilang
mentions
taon
sa
lang
OKC.
nawala, na-retire na agad yung jersey. Kita mo?
Yun eh.
Yun. Siya yung unang Thunder player na na-retire yung jersey. Gotta give respect to the man, though. Sino ba bang Thunder, actually? Melo played there.
Honorable
Chris
mentions.
CP3 played there.
Multiple first round picks.
Multiple.
Future.
Honorable mentions.
Future for the future.
Bronny James.
Oh, may Bronny James na kami.
Sam Presti.
Sam Presti,
Presti.
honorable. Kailangan kasama yun.
Ikaw ba, Pio? Sino honorable mentions mo sa Houston?
Si Houston yan, from the championship team na Rockets nun, sina Kenny Smith, Sam Cassell, Vernon Maxwell, pati na rin si Robert Horry. Knows yung big shot Bob sa Houston pa lang. Yung dating ka-tandem ni Olajuwon sa frontcourt, si Ralph Sampson, tapos Calvin Murphy, yung mga dating Rockets team, tapos si Steve Francis. Siya na yung, nung tumanda na sina Olajuwon, siya na yung pumalat, siya yung new blood nila nun. Yun naman sa akin. Tsaka si D'Antoni, syempre. Recent success dahil sa kanya, yung small ball, sinong micro ball, syempre, honorable mention din siya.
Si Jalen Green.
Jalen Green, kababayan. Future si
Philippine
Pinay Pride. Si Alperen Sengun.
Ito yung thing ko. Kung mag-big lineup ka sa Houston, parang I would rather have Moses Malone rather than Yao Ming.
Forgot about
Moses Malone pala.
Ang dami po pala.
Dami Houston.
Akin, Derek Favors Mike Muscala,
si Carmelo Anthony.
Hashim Tabit,
okay.
Kendrick Perkins,
Sa Houston.
Kyle Singler,
Actually, nga isip tayo ng
Hami Diallo,
honorable mention sa OKC.
Jeremy Grant,
Sobrang dami.
Jeremy Grant,
Paul George.
Dami. Danny Green at Oubre. Wala pang 24 hours na trade na
Kelly Oubre, wala pa yon. Na-trade na agad.
Si Kemba
Walker, Al Horford.
Nga pala, Kemba.
Bull si Al Horford yun talaga. Inupo siya isang taon.
Ang dami po ng player.
Yung reason niya kung bakit siya hindi pinapalaro, too old.
Reason for sitting down. Age.
Pero na kasing bata
yung
overall
Thunder.
ng OKC.
No, pero hindi, yun. So, sige, wrapping up na lang siguro. Nasabi na natin yung mga kailangan natin sabihin. Kung bibigyan ka na lang siguro ng no explanation. Gusto ko lang marinig. I don't wanna hear any explanation or anything. Point guard, shooting guard, small forward, power forward, center. Tigi-isa tayo. Tigi-isa, I mean, 1 by 1. Kumaga, best point guard ever. Best shooting
For
guard
you.
ever. For you. Kasi
Pwede
just
umulit.
Say a name, no explanation. 1 by 1 tayo.
Pwede umulit.
Pwede umulit.
Okay.
Okay. Unahin natin sa point guard. Magic Johnson ako doon.
Magic, syempre. You can't go wrong. Best point guard. Sorry. Magic. sorry. My bad.
Byron.
Magic. No-brainer din sa akin.
Laij.
Derrick Rose.
Yun! Yun talaga.
Joke lang. Real talk. Steph Curry.
Can make a case. Shooting guard. MJ.
Jordan.
MJ. It's MJ.
MJ.
Small forward. Bron.
Yeah, LeBron.
Even though I hate him, Bron. Real talk na lang.
Larry Bird.
Lover hate.
Larry Bird.
Still no. Like,
Lover hate.
Larry Bird's a savage, pero Bron is Bron.
Yeah, LeBron's the man.
Power forward. Tim Duncan.
Duncan, bro.
Tim Duncan.
Si Laij parang walang sila. Sino si Laij? Mga Boris Dio.
Hindi. Keldon Johnson ako.
Yo!
Sino kaya?
Dirt. Pwede rin sa conversation.
Position ba?
Oo.
Position
Power
ba?
forward.
Yung natural position. Tim Duncan. Tim Duncan.
Sure yun sa akin.
Center. I would put Shaq.
Hakim.
Hakim the good one. Kareem. Oh.
I
Sila.
got Shaq.
Shaq. Surprise, 6-man. Ginobili ka, tama. Ginobili rin sagot ko.
Ginobili.
6-man.
6-man. Ginobili, wala. Best 6-man ever, bro.
Best 6-man yun sa ever.
Best coach.
All time?
All time.
Greg Popovich, man.
Actually, wala akong masabi. Hindi ko kasi alam kung...
Hindi. With my team, kung si Match Johnson yung point guard ko, Riley. Riley ako, Pat Riley.
Pat Riley yun.
Team ba to?
Hindi, yung 5 na yun. Siyempre, kung bigyan mo. Ay, hindi,
Yung coach talaga.
Hindi, yung coach talaga.
Or
Hindi, no,
Yeah.
not with your team.
Parang
Not
you
with
have
your
to-
team. Not with your team. Just,
it doesn't matter with the
Overall,
team.
best coach.
Oh.
Ah,
All time.
Popovich, bro. Best coach ever.
Na.
Popovich.
Popovich, yeah.
Honorable mention na lang kala Phil Jackson at saka kay Pat
Yeah.
Riley. Pero Popovich.
Popovich.
Na Red
Can we
Aura.
talk about
Di ko kasi
Phil, though?
di ko kasi alam kung time lang kasi natin kaya Popovich yung sagot natin. Pero
Hindi,
Popovich
pero
recency bias.
For me lang kasi yung difference ni Phil Jackson and ni Greg Popovich. Phil Jackson, he makes star players coachable. Pero Greg Popovich, he makes coachable players into stars. And that's for me is what the coach is supposed to do.
Alright.
Hindi, tsaka, bro, Popovich, yung 90s, 2000s, 2010s, that's
Hindi.
years of consistency. Hindi lang consistency, bro. Dominance as a coach. Lahat ng teams niya. Ano, 22 years playoffs ba? If I'm not...
22 straight years.
Na nag-playoffs.
22.
So,
Including 20 years, 50 wins.
50
20 straight
wins.
years,
Oo.
50 wins.
like, the Spurs are always in the conversation na, well, dati up to now naman, parang parati silang nasasama sa conversation na who your favorites to make the playoffs. For sure, Spurs kasama. You can't not have them. Nung prime nila, Tim Duncan, yun nga, yung Big 3. Finals pa nga eh. Ang pinagtatalon 2000s sila ng Lakers, di ba? So, for sure.
And yung sa debate of Phil and Pop, people are saying Phil for only 2 reasons. One is because he has 11 rings. And yung the other reason is because of recency bias. Kasi for 3 straight years, wala ang Spurs sa playoffs. Kaya medyo recency bias.
And
Pero kung isipin mo naman,
And you had Kobe and
if you
MJ,
that
bro.
coach, si Phil. If si Phil yung nag-coach sa Spurs ngayon, would it really make a difference? Pero we wouldn't really know, di ba?
tsaka,
Pero I think recency bias naman.
tsaka makikita mo rin yung evolution ng pagka-coach ni Pop. I mean, the NBA has changed talaga. And he was still... The Spurs were still competing.
Yeah.
And nakita niyo yung sa Knicks. Tinry ni Phil Jackson yung triangle. It wasn't working with today's game. I mean, para sa akin, yung evolution na talaga ni Greg Popovich is what sets him apart then.
And, tama.
And,
Yeah. Rick
Popovich can play any era. Coach-wise.
Mm.
His system will fit
Any
any era. Tama.
to include pala yung kay Phil, yung for the case of Phil, yung triangle offense. I mean, all of us have watched, di ba? The Last Dance. Kung tutuusin, hindi naman sa kanya galing yung triangle offense. Galing kay...
Tex
Oo, hindi
Winter.
galing sa kanya.
Yeah. So, ayun. Pero I think, no, Phil is still a great coach. Ayun nga. Yung pinaka-mainstream talaga niya.
Yeah.
no doubt.
Top
Is
5
any
easy.
star player, he can make it. He can make him coachable. Kasi tingnan mo ngayon si Frank Vogel sa Lakers. Medyo dismaya sila ngayon.
Ayun. Alright. Top 6 ba yun? 5 players of each position. Best player of each position. Including 6-man and coach. Tapos, our own teams din. I guess that's it for the 3rd episode. Yung long episode once again. Probably, let's see kung hahatiin natin to. But, been a good one. Good explanation for everyone. Been a good episode. Hopefully you enjoyed. Hopefully you enjoyed the audio again.
Yeah.
Better audio. Let's see kung si Laij na naman kasama natin next week. Tingnan natin. Magulat kayo, si Laij nandito na naman. Well, let's see.
Hope not. The joke.
Hope.
Joke lang yun.
Yeah, ayun. So, again, the links of our social media accounts and businesses are in the description below. Give it a like. Guys, give the video a like. And subscribe. Para mga YouTuber, hit the bell button.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's it. Episode 3. Been fun. I'm Matt.
MPO.
Byron, Carlo, Aquino, Leuterio.
Episode 3. Intangibles Podcast.
More they be knowing, the more they been talking. Open phone and the boy can block him. Don't let me light in the morning. I won't let him dim to shine